Want to do it together?
Sure.
I'm there. I'm just a friend.
Ben's here filming our documentary of our tour. So he's my cameraman, not in the bathroom here, but, you know, still. Camera people.
So what have you, how long have you been following her?
Since like a week before their tour, so for about a month.
Who were you performing with today? Are the guys on stage?
Well, right now, Untitled is playing, and then who we're touring with, playing on a different stage in the church. I'm not sure what that was called, but the Village, or maybe we're at the Village or the club or something, was Magic Touch and Maria Minerva. I really wanted to see them, but they stack you one after the other, so you kind of can't run anywhere and like go catch someone. So we missed their sets, but I'll watch it on YouTube, I guess.
Who were you on stage with?
Oh, who was playing with me? The man doing the controls, like the mixer, is Britt Brown, and the keyboards is Nick Malkin, and the drum pad is Damon Palermo. Friends and musicians.
You're not solo.
I'm not. Not when I not when I perform. You know, when you write the songs, you have the one aesthetic sort of, and so it sort of appears like you're a solo performer, but really when I perform live, it's got to be with other people, because I don't want to be up there all by myself. That's boring, and it's kind of lonely. It's nice to have like the energy, you know. And also when a show goes really well, then you have a bunch of men there to hug and jump up and down with. And when a show goes terrible, you have a bunch of men to cry with. And that's what you need. You need them there for the good and for the bad, you know.
No girls.
I mean, I would love girls, but like they're harder to get. If you're a girl and you want to tour with me, write me an email. Because I will take you, I promise. But I don't know any. Men are just so much more ready to just get on the road and be scuzzy and wear the same clothes every night and drink every night and eat bad food every night. And women are kind of like, can we go home? And I'm like, yeah. But if you have a man will be like, tour, 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 tour. And so they're easier to travel with for whatever reason, unfortunately.
Of touring with girls, what actually happened to Pocahaunted?
Well, the original Pocahaunted...
Do you like answering this question?
Yeah. I mean, it's been years now, but the original Pocahaunted, you know, Bethany went on to do Best Coast, and you know, she wanted to write pop songs, and I wanted to write weird songs, and so I think we just got to a point where you don't want to write the same music, and so you have the conversation of like, we should make this more like this, and then someone goes, we should make it more like that. And then you kind of like meet in the middle and realize it can't happen anymore. So I think that was what happened there. And then with the bigger version of Pocahaunted, it was just too many people. There were 5 of us, and it was exhausting, you know, 5 people's schedules, 5 people's aesthetics, 5 people's taste. And you get to a point where you start to say, can we make all 5 people happy? And if you can't, you just can't, you know. That's why making one person happy, if it's yourself, is that easier? It's a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to make yourself happy than 5 people.
So,
but it was a good run. We had a good time when we were doing it.
Well, how do you think, like, after telling me this, how do you think that bands like Rolling Stones or Depeche Mode manage to stay together for so long?
Money, right? So they're being thrown like millions and millions and millions of dollars. I bet if we were being given millions of dollars, we would have just made it work. I think it's like after everyone would be happy, because then you're just like, okay, we just get in our private jets, we go to our luxury hotels, and we just do whatever we want, and then we like grab our stuff and get on stage and play the songs and then go back to our nice hotels. I think when you're underground and you're touring in a very small van all together every night, sleeping on people's floors, it just takes its toll on you, you know? These bands that are really famous and they're doing it for 20, 30 years, it's the fans, it's the fame, it's the money, and that's not a bad thing, but I think that's how you're like a business at that point. You're like McDonald's. You have to keep going every day. You can't stop or else people will be so upset. And in the underground, you know, it's more understandable. People have other lives and they have other things that they want to explore, other tastes, you know? Like, what if Mick Jagger one day is like, I want to rap? Everyone's going to be like, no, you're not allowed to, you know? But if I say I want to rap, everyone will say, good luck, you know, go do it. So, I mean, that's one good thing about being in the underground, I guess.
So, how do you define your music? I tried to read some reviews of when the first singles came out.
Yeah.
One of them said, like, we do not dare to name it.
It's one of those funny things where describing yourself becomes this very difficult process because on the one hand you want to sort of be mysterious, which is hard with the internet because it's hard to have any mystery at all anymore. And on the other hand, you want to stay humble, and so you want to stay away from like calling yourself this or that. You don't want to give yourself a label or anything. And for me, I would just say I make body music. I make music to move your body to, and sometimes that means move your body in like a slow, sludgy way, and sometimes that means pump your body, jack your body. You know, I just I try to make like soulful electronic music that you can dance to. Does that sound humble? I hope that sounds. Does that sound okay? That sounds okay.
What did you call yourself? LA Vampires?
There's this theory I have. It's gonna maybe get a little lost in translation. It's kind of a bizarre thing, but there's this look in Los Angeles downtown. We have like this very scuzzy downtown where late at night you'll see these abandoned streets and nothing will be there. Not a car, not a person walking, not a group of friends, nothing. No bars open, no lights anywhere. And all of a sudden, out of the shadows, you will see this guy or this girl in dark sunglasses, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, on a leather jacket and like scuzzy like pants and just broken shoes, and they'll just be walking nowhere to nothing, and it's like they came out of nothing. And I call those the LA Vampires. They're like these strange, fashionable Los Angeles late night city crawlers, you know. And you see them in every city. Like there's Berlin vampires, there's Paris vampires. Well, I always try to spot them. I'm like, oh, there's the Barcelona vampire. It's like the one dude walking by himself with dark sunglasses at night being like, I'm gonna suck your blood. I'm gonna eat you. I wish one would walk by now, but they don't really come in the light. But
It's too bright for them.
yeah. So I don't consider myself one of those, but I definitely like the idea that, you know, you're this sort of night crawler, this after hours like loner in the like weird city jungle. I kind of like that idea, so that's why I call myself that.
Does a place where you live influence your music in a way?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like I think when you live in a place that you love, no matter what city it is, no matter what country, your happiness sort of permeates everything. And so if you wake up and the sun is shining, if you like sun, which I love sun, and you see palm trees and the food is beautiful and, you know, your home is beautiful and your life seems sort of enchanted, then I think you make the kind of music that shows that happiness and that bliss. And then, you know, if you're unhappy and you're pissed and every day you wake up and you're like, this sucks, I think you make sort of depressing, emo, dark music. Not that you can't make dark music if you're happy, of course. But I love living in Los Angeles, and so when I wake up every day and it's time to make music, I'm happy to do it. And I think that gives me a sort of spirit, so that when I write the music, I feel uplifted and I make uplifting music.
So if you moved to Berlin, you'd probably be making very high.
But I think maybe, which is not bad. But we were just there, and I was like, oh my God, everyone is so fashionable and insane, and they go out all night and they smoke a million cigarettes and they drink. I'm like, I don't know how these people do it. I mean, they're all vampires, basically. They're all like night crawlers, and I think it would take a year, 2 years for me to get used to that. So I think it would be a totally different experience. But yeah, maybe I would make weird, crazy noise, like techno rebel, you know? I should move there and find out. Yeah, exactly, and just see what happens. People move to Berlin and get so inspired. It's like a really inspiring city for musicians, so I would definitely consider it, but not in the winter. Never in the winter.
Have you ever lived in winter?
Yes, I lived on the east coast of America for 5 years, and it would just snow and snow, and I was so bummed out all the time. It was like slushy, and it would get like gray and disgusting, and everyone would just be bitching and drinking way too much coffee and Jack Daniels and smoking way too many cigarettes and getting really depressed. And I was like, Los Angeles, I miss you.
So you enjoy Barcelona?
I love Barcelona. Today, when the sun was beating down and all the beautiful women were out in their shorts, I was like, this is the way to do it. You know, everyone's got sunglasses on, and like everyone looks so good, and their legs are all tan. I'm like, this is definitely a city I could move to. But then I would have to learn Spanish, and that would take me forever, I think. Maybe.
You didn't learn Spanish living in LA, no?
Everyone I know speaks Spanish. My husband speaks it fluently. He speaks it perfectly. And I can't speak a word. And then, you know, because there's Mexican Spanish in LA, right? So we were told that when we came here, we had to speak this. If you say gracias, you have to say it in a sort of Spanish, which is like gracias. Like, it's like this much nicer way of saying it. And I was like, I'm not saying that. That's embarrassing. They're going to laugh at me and be like, just say it in English. And that's what happens when you go to Europe. You try so hard to speak the language, and then they just look at you and go, stupid American, just speak English. You're not doing it right. And you're like, it's true. I'm screwing it up. So every time we've spoken Spanish here, they just look at us like...
Have you ever felt discriminated in Europe or somewhere else for being American?
I assume that all Europeans are like stupid American. I mean, they're thinking it for 1 second, which I think is fine. We deserve that. We absolutely deserve it. So it's okay. But when I was living here, I lived in the Netherlands in 2001, and I was told by everyone to sew a Canadian maple leaf onto my backpack and to tell people I was from Canada because everyone hated Americans so much. So I would just go around telling people I was Canadian. And they were like, oh, that's nice. And I'm like, yeah, I'm from Canada. Don't worry about it. And then, but now I think, you know, it's a decade later. I think it's a little bit easier to be an American. But back then it was like George Bush was in office, and I think everyone was just like, act like you're from Canada. So people would say, where are you from in Canada? And I'd be like, Toronto? Like, I'd be like, just tell me you're not from Toronto, too. Like, nobody should know what I'm talking about. Ontario? Everyone's like, oh, that sounds nice. I'm like, yeah, don't ask any more questions because I don't have any more answers. But now I can just be like, oh, I'm from LA. And people go, Los Angeles. And I'm like, yeah, okay. You don't hate me. Or maybe you hate me, but you're not telling me, which is fine. Yeah, no, you guys have fabulous weather. As soon as we got off the airplane today, I was like, or the train today, I was like, oh, it's just gorgeous here. And Madrid was beautiful yesterday. It was just beautiful outside.
Who would you like to collaborate with?
Dream. I mean, Bjork. I mean, it would just be so amazing to... Because I consider myself to not have a very good voice, like a very good singing voice, and I think it would be amazing to work with someone who has this very particular singing voice and has made it their signature. It's hard when you make music with other people who have these beautifully and classically trained voices, and they're just so stunning, and when they sing, you're just in awe of them and so envious. And that's from years of studying and voice lessons and coaching and just natural ability. And it's amazing to think that there are these singers out there who have these bizarre ways of singing. You know, Joanna Newsom is the same way, and some other women, and you realize that they've just created a whole universe of vocalization, and that's where they sort of live. And so if you don't like Björk's voice, she's like, screw you. This is how I sing. You know, I'm not getting any better or worse. Like, I do it this one way. And so I think it would be amazing to have her sing on a record with me. I would be in the background going, la, 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 la. Like, I wouldn't get in her way. I wouldn't do a single thing. I would just stand there and be like, in praise of her always. But